What's up, guys? Joey here. Haven't posted in a couple years, but I've noticed I've got quite a few more subscribers for some reason, so figured I'd post a video. I've been wanting to kind of get back into the swing of things anyways, so yeah, if you're new to the channel, this is my 190E behind me, and it's been about 2 years since I posted about it. I'll link the last video here. We bagged this thing, and really that's all I've done to it since then. I haven't really touched it. Pretty low on motivation the last few years. I started this channel with my brother, and he passed away a few years ago, and after that I just kind of, I don't know, I just lost motivation to film and kind of work on anything. So, but in a much better space now, and kind of want to film again. So we're gonna work on this thing, and what we're doing today is fixing the floor. I sold this car quite a few years ago, and then I bought it back, and the guy who I sold it to had painted it this brown color, and when he did so, he left the driver's door seal out and then let it sit outside for a year or two, and it collected a bunch of water on the floor and created a giant hole that I now have to fix. You can see here, I already fixed this one. I need to clean it up and paint it and stuff. So I'll do that over the next day or two. And we're gonna start cutting away at this thing, and hopefully get it fixed this weekend. I need to rebuild this frame rail here and then make a patch here. So I don't think it'll be too bad. But yeah, that's kind of my life in a nutshell for the last few years. Okay, so I got the hole pretty squared out. This here is a lot thicker. It holds the little rubber piece for where you put the jack pad. You can see over here. So it's kind of a more structural piece. So I kind of cut around it, and we're gonna just tie into this. I didn't want to cut that out. But I think I'm gonna do this in 2 patches. So I'll do like this big chunk probably up to here, and then I'll do the front chunk as a separate patch maybe. I'm not entirely sure what the best route is to go. And then you can see like it's also kind of crusty over here, so I still gotta cut some of this out. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna heat up, I'm gonna grab the torch and take it to some of this rubber here, and use a screwdriver to kind of scrape it away. That way I can kind of get a better idea of what it looks like, and then I will grind it all down, fucking get a piece of cardboard. So I found when making templates, you want to use like a real thin cardboard, like a cereal box or something, you know. The thicker cardboard, like a cardboard box, it's a lot harder to cut, and it's not as like malleable, so it's a little harder to get a good template. So I think, no, that's not wide enough, so we're gonna have to find something different. All right, so there's no real great way to do this, especially when I'm by myself. So I got it taped up in there, and then since I'm not using the arm of my lift, I kind of got that helping hold it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get into the car and take a Sharpie and kind of try and trace it and see how good of an outline we can make. All right, so I have it kind of sitting in place. I'm actually fairly impressed with this as my first cut piece. So what I'll do is I'll leave a little bit of overhang on this side. As you can see, I kind of folded it up and then I'll be able to kind of match the roll through here. So not too bad though. The line's just about right up. In the back is just about lined up. And then, like I said, I'll use a fat Sharpie so I have a little bit extra around the edges. And I can go around and kind of clean it up. And then right here even fits good around that little triangle piece. Right there, you got a little bit of a gap, so I'll make sure to leave that longer. What I'm gonna do is try and make this piece here. So maybe use something I've seen before is people will use like painter's tape, kind of put it all over and then Sharpie around it. So we'll see how that works real quick. But if I can do this all in one piece, then I can just kind of do this little section by itself, I think. I think that's the plan. Okay, so I've got the painter's tape over the hole. You can see, and like if you kind of press on it along the edge, you can kind of get a good representation of the hole. So kind of gives you an idea. So I'll take a Sharpie, kind of go along there, and then cut it, and that'll give me the shape I'm looking for, I think. And then I can cut this out of one piece of metal, and I'll roll it so it matches here. And I think that's going to be the best way to do it. I was going to do two pieces, but I like this idea better. And then maybe I'll even come through here and clean this up more, and then try and do it all as one solid piece so it's less welding. Let's change that. All right, so here we are from the top side. You can see the tape and stuff. I think that's pretty dang good for what it is. You can see there's a giant hole right here along the frame rail where it's rotted. So I'll be fixing that tomorrow as well. And what I'll do is I'll kind of patch it in. Then I'll fold it over like this so I can tack it to the floor. And should be pretty good. I'm gonna try and patch it all the way up to the front there. Yeah, a big old chunk of it rotted out. If you look back here, this is where I made the seat mount and did the rest of the patch. I'm gonna go through and clean all this up, hit it with some rust neutralizer, and then probably paint it, or maybe pour 15 in it. So the whole driver floor will be rust proof, and then this front floor should be pretty damn good as far as I'm concerned. I don't know where you can buy frame rails or floor patches for these, and if you can, they're probably from overseas or pricey. So, but I think that is pretty good. You can see I got this section done too. So tomorrow I will take this and I'll cut this all out, and then I'll overlay this onto a piece of sheet metal and try and make a good template, good piece of floor.
They put red dot right around every. I don't get it why is there a weight difference. It's just how very made.
Well, why is that one so like opposite?
All right, so we have the floor piece roughed out. trim it a little bit. Fold that up over there a little bit. And then, all right, so this is kind of the template I made for the frame rail. Go ahead and throw her up in there. You can see it kind of sits like that. And it extends up to the front there. And here, over here, is the piece I made. Got a weldable primer there for welding and sealing it up or whatever. And then put a bunch of weldable primer all over the frame rail there. You can see, bam. I think that'll do pretty good. Happy with that. And then instead of tracing it out and like trying to butt weld it there, I'm just gonna put it over the existing frame rail. You'll never see it, and it was kind of rotted up towards the front there, so I cut it out as best I could, cleaned it up, and yeah, I think this will be good. So got the welder, gonna go ahead and get it welded up. All right, so there we go. Now it's tacked. So now I'm gonna go ahead and tack along the top a couple more times and get her in place. All right, so you can see I got it tacked in there. Now I can kind of move it around a little bit on the bottom so I can, let's see, so I can line it up down there. And then we'll be good, and then I can go through and kind of weld it in. All right, so here we are under the car, and here you can see the frame rail that is replaced now. I'll tack it in on this side as well a few times. You can see where I tacked it on the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and weld the other side all along there, and then I'll just throw some tacks on this side just to be safe. And then it's really thin back here still. I should have maybe cut a little further back, but I'll be able to fill that with weld and clean it up. And then I'm gonna go ahead and try and clean up the inside of the frame rail and seal it as best I can before we get the floor on, so it doesn't rot or continue to rot. All right, so we got the frame rail tacked in right there. You gotta see. So we replaced that part. Not what I wanted to do. I'll just show you the little floor piece I made real quick. So it'll fit something about like that. Like I said, I still need to trim it up. I need to roll this edge, but that's just straight from the template, and with no trimming yet. So just to kind of give you a rough idea of what I'll be working on over the next day or two. But I think I'm gonna call it there. I've been out here for almost, actually just a little over 6 hours now. So I got all this cut out, made the template for the frame rail and the floor piece, got the floor and the frame rail cut out, and got the frame rail tacked in. So I'm pretty happy with that progress today. And yeah, if you like what I posted, I guess give me a like, follow, comment. I'll try and comment back, and I'll post some more of me finishing this up, and then maybe throwing the interior in or something. I have a one of 700 Sportline interior to throw in, and we got a carbon interior kit from Stevs I need to throw in as well, so that'll be next after the holes are fixed. Have a good night.